And for leading the Titans in their battle against the Olympian gods, he was given the task of holding the heavens on his shoulders as punishment by Zeus. That's right, it's Atlas time, baby. So first things first, before you even try to get Atlas, you will need an Archwing, okay? You can't do it without one. So after you get an Archwing, you will have to finish the Jorda's Precept questline, and then you will have to kill the Jorda's Golem. Now, if you don't want to get murdered by a very angry space elephant over and over and over again, I recommend you bring a maxed out Archwing and maybe a couple of friends. And after you defeat the angry space elephant a couple of times, you will get a Warframe that starts off with 100 health, which goes up to 300 at rank 30, 100 shields, which go up to 300 at rank 30, and 450 armor, which is the second highest of all the Warframes, right behind Valkyr, which has 600 armor. He's also slower than most of the other Warframes with sprint speed of only 0.9, and he comes with 4 polarities, a dash, a D, a V, and a V in the aura slot. His passive ability is incredibly useful because as long as you're not airborne, you are immune to knockdowns, and yes, this includes the Corpus laser walls. His abilities are all rock themed, and while they may not be the most powerful abilities in the game, they are incredibly fun to play with. So let's take a look at them, shall we? So the first ability is called Landslide, where Atlas charges forward to punch a target enemy that's up to 15 meters away. That target and enemies within 1.5 meters are dealt 350 impact damage as a melee strike with a 200% critical damage multiplier and a 5% critical strike chance. But that's not everything. This ability also has its own combo system, but you have to recast Landslide 1 second after the previous cast. And if you manage to do that, the second attack will do 200% damage, will have 200% impact radius, and will cost 50% less energy. And if you do it for the third time, you will do an uppercut that does 400% damage, has 300% impact radius, and costs 75% less energy, and ragdolls enemies rather than staggering them like the previous 2 casts. And if you manage to keep this combo rolling on and on and on, you will cycle through the 3 different attacks, but you will maintain the 400% damage bonus, 300% impact bonus, and 75% reduction in energy cost. Now, as far as Atlas is concerned, the damage of Landslide is increased by power strength, melee combo counter, and steel charge. But you can also mod your melee weapon to increase the damage even further, with pretty much all mods that modify either raw damage, impact damage, elemental damage, and even crit mods like True Steel and Organ Shatter. Power duration modifies the combo window in which you can recast Landslide to perform the combo, and the combo window will never go below 0.5 seconds, so even if you completely destroy power duration on Atlas, you will still have 0.5 seconds to recast Landslide and keep the combo rolling. And finally, power range increases the impact radius and not the range of the ability. You are unfortunately locked to only 15 meters. Atlas's second ability is called Tectonics, where Atlas will reshape the surrounding terrain and create a bulwark made out of stone with a base health of 3,750 and additional health that's equal to 500% of Atlas's modded armor. Now in the beginning, when you create this bulwark, it will be invulnerable for a couple of seconds and all the damage it takes will be converted into bonus health. So he basically just creates a big rock wall that no one can either move or shoot through. Now, reactivating the ability will compact the wall and will create a boulder that will roll to where your crosshair is pointing at. And as the boulder is snowballing over enemies, it will pick them up and deal 600 impact damage to them every second, and after it either rolls its maximum distance of 15 meters or it hits an obstacle, it will explode and deal 500 puncture damage in an area of 5 meters. Both rolling and explosion damage are affected by power strength, and the explosion radius is affected by power range. The roll distance is unfortunately not. Now, if you don't like only having one wall and you would rather have more of them, you can use the augment called Tectonic Fracture, which will allow you to have 3 walls up at any given time, but you can unfortunately no longer turn them into boulders. And you can get this augment by either reaching the rank of General under the Steel Meridian or the rank of Exalted under the Red Veil, and it will cost you 25,000 standing. Atlas's third ability is called Petrify, where Atlas will holster his weapons and unleash a hardened gaze. This will emit a cone of energy that's 14 meters long, and all enemies caught within the cone will be initially staggered, gradually slowed, and then eventually turned into stone. This will drain 3 energy every second until you either run out of energy or you reactivate the ability. It doesn't work on captured targets or bosses, and you can't do anything while you're casting it because it's a two-handed channeled ability. And the rate at which enemies are petrified depends heavily on the strength of the unit. If it's a normal swarm unit like troopers or chargers, they will be petrified almost instantly, while units like heavy gunners and bombards will take much longer. Petrified enemies are also immune to status effects, and even if you apply, let's just say, a slash proc before you petrify that unit, it will be halted until the petrification wears off. Now, the rate at which you petrify enemies is affected by power strength, the duration of the petrification is affected by power duration, and the length of the cone is affected by power range. And this time I'm also going to talk about efficiency, because the initial activation is affected by power efficiency and the drain is affected by both efficiency and duration. The augment for Petrify is called Or Gaze, where petrified enemies will be scanned into the codex and will have a 50% chance to drop additional loot. Now, the drop chance is affected by power strength, where if you reach 200% power strength on Atlas, the drop chance will be 100%. And you can once again get this augment by either reaching the rank of General under the Steel Meridian or the rank of Exalted under the Red Veil, and it will cost you 25,000 standing. And Atlas's fourth and final ability is called Rumblers, where Atlas will summon 2 rock golems that will automatically engage nearby enemies. Each golem has 1200 health, 500 armor, a speed multiplier of 1, will do 2000 impact damage with each melee hit, and will occasionally throw stones for 500 impact damage, and they last 45 seconds. Oh my goodness, that was a mouthful. On top of that, the golems are immune to crowd control and status effects, and you can also reactivate the ability, which will cause the golems to explode in a 6-meter radius and deal 1250 blast damage. Their melee attacks will also stagger enemies, and their rock throw will ragdoll enemies. Now, their health is affected by Atlas's power strength, his bonus health, and his bonus shields. And here's the coolest thing. The more health they have, the bigger they are, which is just amazing. Their armor is once again affected by power strength, but also by Atlas's modified armor. So if you have, for instance, steel fiber, they will have more armor. And all damage they do, including the blast damage if you decide to detonate them by reusing the ability, is also affected by power strength. Their duration is of course affected by power duration, and power range modifies the explosion radius if you reuse the ability and detonate them, but it also modifies their speed, so the more range you have, the faster they'll be, which is just an awesome interaction in my opinion. Now, the augment for Rumblers is called Titanic Rumbler, where instead of having 2 smaller dudes, you will have 1 really big dude. And this 1 really big dude will have 50% more health, will do 35% more damage, but will only move at 65% of the original speed. Now, this big dude is trying really hard to be as good of a tank as he can be, but unfortunately he's just not a very good tank. Because another thing he will do is sort of a thunderclap, where he will smash the ground to attract attention of nearby enemies. But for some reason, if they're already attacking you, they will just keep attacking you. So it kind of defeats the point of him having a thunderclap style taunt. But if you'd rather have 1 really big dude instead of 2 smaller ones, this is the way to go. That was a really bad sentence. But anyway, you can once again get this by either reaching the rank of General under the Steel Meridian or the rank of Exalted under the Red Veil, and it will cost you 25,000 standing. Now, you will hear a lot of people say that Atlas is useless, that his scaling is bad, and that he just doesn't do any damage. And that's only true if you're fighting enemies that are like level 50, 60 or higher. So just don't listen to these people, okay? These people really annoy me sometimes, because if a frame or a weapon can't kill a level 30,000 unit in 1 shot, it's just useless. It doesn't do any damage, and it's mastery fodder. Anything you're gonna face in the solar system and in the void outside of like really long endless runs is gonna be fine. You're gonna murder it with all the stones you're gonna throw at them. And you're gonna have a lot of fun while you're doing it, because Atlas is just fun. And I know it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get him, with all the Juggernaut farming, and then there is the Angry Space Elephant at the end of it, but it's definitely worth it. Even if all you're gonna do is run around and punch Grenier in the gonads, it is still worth it, alright? Trust me. And that's pretty much it for the video. So I thank you very much for watching, I hope the video was helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.